All right, so we've had another special guest show up with us, and one of the things that pilots, very compassionate pilots, like to do is combine their desire to give back to a community. You heard that in Kat's story too. So one way to combine the passion of aviation with community service is it's public benefit flying. There's lots of ways to do it. There's pilots in pause, there's flying physicians, there's all sorts of things to do. But Civil Air Patrol is very, very interesting because you can join Civil Air Patrol at 12 years old. You can be in it through your entire life. There's no retirement age. It's a volunteer organization, nearly 70,000 volunteers, and like a lot of things, a small percentage of that are the pilots. So again, Civil Air Patrol, there's a job. If you want to join, there's something for anybody to do. But we're going to talk a little bit about something that every pilot needs to know about how Civil Air Patrol can help save your life when you're having your absolute worst day. Through some unexpected technology that I suspect you haven't heard about, but it may save your life. So let's welcome Brigadier General Regena Aye. So she is a one-star general, soon to be a two-star general at Civil Air Patrol in just a couple weeks. Congratulations, General.
Thank you, Randy.
So, Sean Bean, have you ever met anybody from Civil Air Patrol before?
Absolutely not. This is
and you're right at the top.
Yeah. Right at the top.
Wow, that's impressive.
VIP, wonderful.
So thanks for joining us today. Full disclosure, I know a little bit about Civil Air Patrol, but I know that a lot of people out there don't. And like I said, this is super, super important. So as aviators, we know that every aircraft is required to have an ELT. So it's, sends out a signal in the blind, based on G-force impact. It can be hard to find somebody, right? So it just sends out a signal and, maybe the launch of a search can't start until better weather or daylight, and you have to start flying around in this grid pattern and start to home in on where the crash site might be. Every minute is critical, right? So the time to find can save your life. Civil Air Patrol has got a pretty interesting technology using cell phones. What can you tell us about cell phone technology?
Yeah, so we have a cell and radar forensics units that help look for missing pilots, missing aircraft, missing hikers, maybe an elderly person who wandered away who has dementia or something like that. If you have a cell phone and it can hit the tower, if you're not in airplane mode, we can maybe find you. So we use the data from all the different towers, and we have some proprietary software that we put that into that helps us get a very accurate location as to where that individual might be.
So you just mentioned something that's critical. A lot of us, you get in your airplane, you're used to flying commercially, and you have to put your phone in airplane mode. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your phone turned on all the time, right?
That's correct. If your phone's in airplane mode, we can't get that data. If your phone is not in airplane mode, we can use Find My Device, we can use Find Me from Apple, and we can use all that cell data from different carriers to hone in on where you might be and to get you help much more quickly.
Okay. And so, again, you're having your worst day, plane ends up on the ground, not where you expected it to be. Who do you call?
Yeah, so you definitely don't want to make a first call to your family. A lot of people think, I'm in a bad situation, I want to talk to my family first. That first call really needs to go to 911 so that we can get that information into the system and we can begin to track you. After you've made that call to 911, then it's okay to call your family. What we're going to do is we're going to send you a link that's done through that proprietary software where we can communicate with you through text messaging, and that will help the teams hone in on your position and find you more quickly to get that help you desperately need on that really bad day you're having.
Yeah. Well, that's also interesting too, because if you send someone a text message, if they respond, all right, they're survivors, we really need to get there fast, right? So what other information do you get in that first exchange, or do you continue to communicate with the pilots until you find them, let them know help's on the way?
Yeah, we hope to continue to communicate with the pilot throughout the process. Now, we know sometimes you may not have charged your battery. We would, of course, recommend that you always fly with that cell phone fully charged. And if you're having a bad day, make sure you take it off of airplane mode so that you can send us that information. But yeah, we'll take that. We'll continue to triangulate where your position's at. It's not a perfect science, but we have some really great technology that helps us get very close. But the more we can stay in contact with you, the better job we can do helping.
Okay. Well, let me just share an experience that I know. And this happened a couple years ago out in the Pacific Northwest, and General Aye mentioned hikers, and there happened to be a gentleman out hiking. In the wintertime it gets dark early. Now he's lost. It's dark. He fell into the Hoh River. Now he's hypothermic, and they couldn't find him. And somebody had the idea, well, let's call his cell phone company and see if we can track him down. And they came up with about a 9-mile radius. So trying to find somebody in the mountains in a 9-mile radius at night, they were never going to get there before he succumbed to hypothermia. So then Civil Air Patrol got involved, and just within a matter of minutes, they were able to communicate and transfer GPS coordinates to a Coast Guard helicopter dropped the line without even knowing where the individual was, and it was within about 12 meters, and they literally saved that life that day.
Absolutely. And we'll have, 60 or so saves last year where we were able to help people who are having that bad day, where we were able to help authorities get the right location for that individual. So we're always out there looking to be able to serve our communities and to save lives.
Okay, and I think sometimes when you tell people you're going to find them, locate a person by their cell phone, maybe they're thinking NCIS, and they can track somebody to it doesn't work. It's not Hollywood style, right? There's a lot of technology that goes into it. There's also, you mentioned radar analysis. What piece is that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of technology, and we absolutely can't track your cell phone. That's not what we do. We locate your cell phone when you're having trouble. There has to be a very good reason for us to be able to request that data from the cell company. You have to have your life in danger, or you have to be where you may be injured seriously, and that's when we can request that through a mission. We also have a radar forensics team, and they've been able to use radar tracking to also help locate the sites of crashes.
Yeah. Another interesting story there too. There was a crew. There was a family flying from, I believe it was Cessna 210 from the Bahamas back to the States. Engine quit, went down. Trying to find an aircraft in the ocean. That's literally a needle in a haystack. Here again, radar analysis said send a Coast Guard cutter right there.
And we were close, just as you said.
Yeah.
We helped them find the location.
I mean, this is life-changing stuff.
It is.
How many saves last year, you said?
60.
Okay, and I'll bet they weren't all pilots, right? There's hikers and dementia patients that wander off.
That's right.
And, yeah. I remember there was one in Bend, Oregon. There's a hiker that fell, a few feet and broke his pelvis. He's stuck there on the side of the mountain, but gave you a call.
That's right, and we were able to get that information for that location to the authorities. They can get there quickly, and they can save that life.
Okay. So for aviators out there, this is a great public benefit flying opportunity, right? So we always, and for flight instructors too, right? Because Civil Air Patrol has this cadre of aviators, and they also need to stay current. We also have new pilots coming on because you have a program called Cadet Wings where they train students to become private pilots.
Oh, wow.
What can you tell us about that? His son just turned 18, so.
Oh, excellent.
Could be good for you, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, so our cadets get a series of orientation flights to kind of wet their whistle, to get them interested in flight. After that, we have flight academies where they can get to a solo, and then we have Cadet Wings, and that will help them get to their private pilot's license. And so it's jointly funded through the Air Force and the Ray Foundation. We're very grateful for their support. And we've been able to train over 340 cadet pilots to that professional pilot's license.
No kidding. Wow, that's a great connection with the Air Force.
Well, I want to ask, with your level of expertise and experience here at AirVenture, what aircraft do you love seeing? What is your favorite part of the show? Can you say?
Oh,
Can you pick a
absolutely.
favorite child?
So, well, it's hard, but we all have a favorite, right? So I guess it would be the B-29. And I think Doc might be here out of Kansas. So I had an uncle that I'm named for who was actually in the Army Air Corps and then the Air Force. He retired.
Oh, wow.
And he was a crew chief on B-29s. So it always has a special place in my heart. When I see that B-29, I think about my uncle and the wonderful time we had together and that Air Force story that he shared with me and how he helped me when I was a Civil Air Patrol cadet.
You were a Civil Air Patrol cadet. What age did you get started?
So I joined Civil Air Patrol a little later. I didn't hear about it when I was 12. I joined when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still able to get through the cadet program, learn a lot about leadership, and learn skills that really helped me throughout my life to be successful. I certainly would not be where I am today without the great skills I learned in Civil Air Patrol. And that's why I give back now. I want to make sure that future cadets have that same opportunity that I had. And honestly, that opportunity gets better every day with our programs.
That's impressive. So you started with no rank at all, and within a couple weeks, you're going to have Civil Air Patrol's highest rank as 2-star general, Major General.
Yes, it's humbling to think that I came from that. And it's also absolutely inspiring to talk to our cadets and to let them know that they could be the national commander for Civil Air Patrol in 30 years.
Yeah. So just to mention people a little bit about Civil Air Patrol. So it's kind of two organizations in one. So Civil Air Patrol is the Air Force Auxiliary, and there's really 4 partners in the Air Force Auxiliary, right? There's active duty, there's Guard, there's Reserve, and there's the Air Force Auxiliary. The one catch being the Air Force Auxiliary, completely volunteer run. So when she mentioned the Cadet Wings is sponsored by the Air Force, there's no obligation. You don't have to join the Air Force if they teach you to fly, right?
Absolutely. Some of our cadets want to go into STEM career fields. Other cadets are interested in emergency services or emergency management, and some cadets have an interest in the military. That's one of the great things about Civil Air Patrol is we can help young people find their passion, find what it is they love to do, and then go on to that career path. So our career exploration opportunities are outstanding.
And I've got a deal for you.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so one of the beautiful things about Civil Air Patrol, it's something the whole family can do, right? So your son can join as a cadet, you can serve as an adult member, you can have a shared experience, but the cadets are in their own unit, the adults are doing their own thing. They usually meet the same night so you can travel together, but you have this great shared experience with your children, and often, the children will get the adults in because they're driving them there, they're sitting in the cars, I might as well go in and join. And long after the kid has gone off to college or career, parents are still involved because it's a social thing too, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful.
It's a passion. It's in your heart after a while, and you just want to keep doing it. You want to keep helping.
And where are you located here on the field?
So we're over in the education area.
Okay. You have a pretty interesting aircraft over there too. It looks like, I've heard people walk up to and go, it looks like a baby Caravan. What is that?
Yeah, it's a GA8. It's a Gippsland aircraft. It's Australian made. It's one that we can use to carry equipment or more personnel. We use it sometimes for orientation rides for a group of cadets or aerial photography training. We do a lot of missions for FEMA, taking photos after disasters so that we can help get checks to people who need them more quickly by analyzing that imagery and providing imagery for FEMA.
Okay. Well, just as we wrap up, you mentioned missions a little bit. What are some of the diversity of missions that Civil Air Patrol pilots might get to fly?
Yeah, so we have different missions in every state. It really varies. So, in some states it might be helping track wildlife herds. It might be fire watch. It could be low-level route surveys for the military. It could be air intercept training where we help Air Force pilots learn how to intercept a civilian aircraft that airs into controlled airspace. It could be training other military personnel flying those photo missions or any number of things. We're very flexible. We have 540 aircraft nationwide and 1,400 units. So we're able to use those to do a variety of missions for community, state, and nation.
Yep. Something for everybody at Civil Air Patrol, even for those who have to rotate out or retire from the military. It's a great way to stay in uniform and continue to serve. So thank you again for spending some time with us, General. Congratulations on your upcoming promotion. So interesting fun fact about Civil Air Patrol, the two-star general, Major General, it's the highest rank. She will be the national commander and the CEO, and it's an all-volunteer position. So she's got a full-time job as an educator, and she does this on top of that. That's a lot of work and a lot of dedication. Thank you for that.
Thanks so much for your time, Regina.
Thank you for having me.
Right,
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to segue into a new video. This is one we kind of teased the other day, but over at the EAA Museum, there's a restoration hangar. It's named after Kermit Weeks, a pretty phenomenal aviator and collector in his own right. So let's see what goes on behind the scenes at the restoration hangar.
Let's roll it.